ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
You know what that sound is? Is this cloudy? That's better. You know what that sound is? Jersey. Fist pumping. You know, the Jersey Shore is a real place, everybody. And there are really people like that exist here in this state. But this state is not just fist pumping in Newark. It's also a beautiful state with so much art culture. You can be in the beach, or you can be in New York City in a mountain. You can be in Atlantic City. You can be all across this little mini state with a lot of attitude. That's why there's so many movies and TV shows that are all based out of here. And today we're going to talk about the best in art. But before we talk about the best in art, do you know what makes me think of Jersey? This big lifelong debate. Do you know about this debate? Do you know I once went to New York City and I ordered an egg sandwich and I asked for Taylor ham, egg, and cheese, and they sliced like Thuman's ham on it. Then if you go to California and ask for it, you go anywhere outside of New Jersey, Philly area and ask for it, there's no such thing as Taylor ham or pork roll. I grew up in Bergen County, which is northern New Jersey, where we call it Taylor ham. But if you get to central Jersey and you start to go southern Jersey, they call it pork roll. Here, for our purposes. There you have it. The Taylor ham part of the state, the pork roll part. Also probably the Democratic part of the state and the Republican. The densely populated north, and then the south, which is a whole other country. But we're talking about the best of arts in New Jersey. You know, New Jersey being so close to New York City has so many equity theaters, regional theaters, community theaters, performing arts centers, and a gigantic arts community. And my home state is repping some great productions. And I'm so excited to talk to them about them with you. So up first, I heard about this production that's happening called Joy. The musical is based on Joy Mangano, who you know from The Miracle Mop and the movie with Jennifer Lawrence, and the whole big hoopla that was around Joy and Joy's life. She's the most inspirational story about a mother who tries to make ends meet and ends up creating inventions and making it in this world. And I was so excited to talk to Erika Henningsen. You know her from Mean Girls and lots of theater. And I was in my classroom, and she had some inspirational words in front of my students. Take a peek at room 214 in North Bergen. All right, everybody, if you're in the New Jersey area and you're an arts fan, you know about George Street Playhouse. It's does the most beautiful work, and there's a brand new show that I'm so excited about. You may have seen the movie. You may know all about Joy Mangano and the inspirational story that she is. Erika Henningsen is going to be Joy. It's here. It's from the 7th of December all the way until the 30th. So when you're off from work and you have nothing to do, especially in this holiday time, you need to come support the arts. I'm so excited about this show. Erika Henningsen is here. Welcome. I just dropped the bomb on poor Erika that she's in front of 28 10-year-olds. Some are 11. Here they are.
Like, who's that? Some of us are 11. Some of us are older.
Some of us are 39 and ancient. Well, Erika, can you tell? I know a little bit about you. You're born in California. You've been in this musical theater game for a moment now. I got to see you. Of course, we all got to see you burst on the scene here with this magical moment. That
yes, visuals. Yes.
Yeah. When did you know that you wanted to make art part of your life?
Probably right around the age that these students are, probably around 5th or 6th grade. And I was just in school choir, and I did the school musicals. I wasn't like a Broadway kid, a TV kid. I just kind of, whatever was available in my local community, that's what I gravitated towards, because I just loved, I was not a super athletic kid, but I loved being on teams. Yeah. So like I played a ton of sports, but I wasn't really excelling at any of them because I wasn't super competitive, but I loved being on a team. And theater to me is, you know, there is no greater team than being part of a cast. And so that's really how I got into theater. And then I think that's why I've stuck with it as an adult, is that it's just, I love obviously getting to tell stories and bring stories like Joy's to life. But I most enjoy the community and being part of the ensemble.
Absolutely. And then you go to University of Michigan, which is an amazing theater program. I mean, so many of you cool kids go to University of Michigan. How important was education to be able to do what you do on a daily basis, that foundation?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, for me, the biggest thing was that if I was going to do this, I wanted to make sure I had as many tools in my, toolkit as many skills in my toolkit as possible. Because I think to do this industry, you kind of have to accept that there's going to be many eras of maybe not working or being in the developmental phase. There's so much work outside of just being on Broadway that helps cultivate your life as an artist. And for me, that meant going to a school that would help round me out as a performer in ways that would not just fill my time, but like fill my spirit and soul. And that, for me, I know people take many different paths to end up as an artist. For me, I loved learning about the history of theater because I feel like you cannot possibly move forward and create new work without respect for the past and the people who came before us and the people who shaped this art form into what it is. And for me, like the first 2 years of school was just diving into all the great works that are, being revived. But of course, when you go in for a new show, you have this sense of history when it comes to musical theater in particular. And I feel like school gave me that historical context and then also the well-rounded context that has allowed me to make a living and make an identity that is not just rooted in being on a Broadway stage.
I think that's the whole definition of art and artistry, really. It really is. And then you have done from Les Mis to Mamma Mia to Hairspray to South Pacific, the litany of some of the great musicals of our time.
Yeah, I feel so lucky. I was like thinking about this. I made my Broadway debut in Les Mis, which is kind of, I'm so happy I was young because I think when you're young, you have this bravery that, for better or for worse, as you learn more, as you get older, that bravery maybe goes away or you have to call on it in a deeper way. Whereas when you're young, it's just there because you're just ready to dive in. And Les Mis is such an iconic show and such a big behemoth of a show, but I was not overwhelmed by it because I just had this like glorious, youthful excitement. So I feel so grateful that was the show that I got to debut in. And I'm also happy that I got to do it when I was young. Because I think if somebody asked me to be in Les Mis now, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a big one.
I totally relate. I'm more scared now than I was as a young performer. It was like, oh yeah, it's just what we do. Now it's like, oh no.
Oh no. I know, for all the students watching know that like whatever, bravery and joy you have when you throw yourself into your hobbies and your activities, keep that. Like keep finding that even as you get older, because that's what will make you, that's what will make it special, I think.
That's the reminder for all ages, truly.
All ages, yeah.
All
truly.
ages.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't know about a new musical. We see things that are on stage. We see things that are already produced and polished, but a new work, especially this show in particular, which has been around for a moment, being fixed and tinkered and ready to be put on stage. How did you get involved? And for us that don't know, when we go see theater or we watch theater that's taped on television, if that's how it's accessible for you, how does this process work? How did the Joy process work? And how did you get involved?
Yeah, so I know Joy's been going through developmental processes for a couple years. I think our book writer and our producer and our music and our composer, basically the movie came out and I think everybody saw that there was a really beautiful, simple story in there, which is the story. I say simple because it's very linear. It's about one singular woman who does something that is extraordinary out of something that feels ordinary. She makes an invention. She makes a mop. A thing that we use in our house all the time. But she changed her life because of it. And there's this parallel of how that invention changed not just her life, but her family's life. And a family that was sort of struggling to make ends meet, a family that was on the fringes of sort of breakdown almost because of all the obstacles the world was throwing at them. So there's something really understandable with the family that's portrayed on stage in Joy the musical and in Joy's actual real life. So they've been doing developments of it. And I believe, I feel so lucky. The associate director for Mean Girls, Casey Hushin, is our director for Joy. So Casey Hushin and I worked together a lot during Mean Girls, obviously. And she was going into auditions for Joy, and we were actually talking about something totally unrelated. And she just said, we're still trying to find our Joy. Would you be interested in coming in? We're not sure if you're the right fit. You might be too young. I had just played a high schooler in a show. And I thought, that's kind of the best thing to hear, is that we don't really know if you're fit for this. Come in and let's see what happens. Because when that's the case, you don't get attached to it, because you just think, all I can do is show up and do my best work. And so I auditioned for it, and it ended up being a fit. I was the right fit for the project at this time. That's really all it comes down to. I think it's never about talent. At a certain level, it's just about, are you the right puzzle piece for the puzzle that this company is trying to put together, that this creative team is trying to put together? And I was the right puzzle piece. So we have been working on the show. We did a lab of it in September, which was just like in a dance studio, basically. And then we've been rehearsing for the last month.
And you have quite the cast. It's quite the creative team. I mean, Ken Davenport and these are people that have put on some of the biggest, most successful pieces.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you put this cast together. What has it been like to put it on its feet as you go through tech? I know, and thank you for giving us your time through these as you're about to open the show. And you're open and whatever. But what can you tell us a little bit about what the process has been and the cast and what we can see when we show up at the George Street?
Yeah, the process has been great. Putting on a new show is so, it's taxing in like the best way, because you are truly just trying to do your job as a performer, but then you're also trying to do your job as a collaborator, or at least I have been given that opportunity because our collaboration team and our creative team is so open. And I think they're aware that, as the character of Joy in Joy the Musical, there's a lot that happens that I am privy to on stage, sort of just how I feel the story going, how I feel the story moving, taking steps back as we change things, taking steps forward. It's a total like calibration every time you do even just one performance of a new show in this preview phase. So what has been exciting is seeing the cast, which is incredible, start to find our groove and find our pockets, and then also stay completely open to, if Ken walks in and is like, you know what, we're gonna try this line today, or if Anne-Marie Milazzo comes in and says, I'm not sure about this finale, let's try this. Or if Casey Hushin comes in and says, hey, that big song you sing in the 11 o'clock number, just sing it out to the audience. Like, don't sing it for the people on stage, sing it for us, the people watching. I promise it'll work, trust. And you just kind of do it. And you have to be a bit fearless in previews of a new show or in development of a new show out of town, because what we're doing is trying to show the collaborators what does and doesn't work. And as the actor, you have to be willing to sometimes do something that may not work so that they can go home and figure out what does.
Well, corny actor question, nerdy actor question. When the blocking changes and when the direction changes every single show and you have how do you keep your head together? I mean, you're probably on stage 90% of the show. How do you remember all the changes and all the moments? What are the tricks that you use when you are giving direction and notes to do what the director's vision is?
I'm a big fan of sticky notes. I put sticky notes on my mirror as I'm getting ready. I have to say, I feel lucky that I still have like a young mind. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I've probably only got about 5 or 6 more years where my brain can take in information this quickly. So I'm happy I'm doing new musicals at this time. So I was like, come like late 30s, I'd like to maybe just be in a revival that won't change. Yeah, but it's kind of it's a leap of faith, because you have to take in what you can, you have to just stay really present. And there's something that happens when you're in a long run of a show. You inevitably will have moments where you're on stage and your body just kind of goes on autopilot. And it doesn't mean that you're not giving a full performance. It becomes so rhythmic and patterns that, I had moments on stage in Mean Girls where I thought, oh my God, I don't know what I'm about to say next. And then it would just come out, because your body knows better sometimes than your mind. When it comes to a new show with changes, blocking changes, line changes, music changes, your brain is never off. So I tend to get mentally like, it's a hyper focus for 2 hours of this show. And sometimes you forget things and then you just try again tomorrow. It's my favorite part of putting on a new musical, is just being in that place of, oh, I can't check out for a second. I have to be on the pocket. Yeah.
I'm so excited to see it. I know Vicki Lewis was just on a few weeks ago, and
the best.
the most talented, funny sweetheart of a person.
Yes.
The cast is stacked from top to bottom. And speaking of talented, how's it been to get to know Joy?
There she is. It's been great. She's been like the perfect amount of a collaborator and a supporter on this project. It's interesting when you have somebody who's alive. It can when you're doing a musical about somebody who is living, it can teeter into them wanting to micromanage the storytelling. And what is so beautiful about Joy is that she has the support of the project. She answers all of our questions. If we have questions, like Casey Hushin has called her to say, okay, but literally what did your prototype look like? Should we create that on stage? But then she's also said, this is what it looks like. I understand that may not be the most theatrical version. So whatever theatrical version you want to do, go for it. And that's incredible that she has such faith in who she is as a person and what she brings to the world, that she is allowing this process to unfold and this story to unfold in the way that makes the most sense for a musical. Even if that means, for example, she has 3 wonderful kids. We only have 1 child in this show because it's hard to have 3 kids on stage. And it's one of those things where I just think we got really lucky that the person that this musical is based on has given it her full support and is engaged with it, but has also said, whatever you need to do to make this a theatrical telling of my life, go for it. And that's really, that does not happen very often.
She's so inspiring too. Beyond gender and she's just an inspiring person. I mean, her story is amazing, and it's written for movies and television, and it's just an amazing story. But it also feels on brand with you, because I know you do a lot of charity. You do stuff for, She's the First, or with African charities, or Sing for Hope, or Broadway Cares. Like you are someone who puts their money where their mouth is, and you've used your voice and your platform to support people who need support. And I know that Joy's story from the Miracle Mop on, is she's someone who just took her life in her hands to create for her family and to do the best she can. When you're out there and you're doing these shows now, and you see these young girls and you see these moms and you see these, what does it mean for you as an artist to be able to tell such an inspirational story and hopefully inspire others to do what she's done?
Yeah, it's I think it's why I was so drawn to this project, is that I think theater is so there's just something so tactile about it, because the person's right in front of you, and there's something about, I'll get like emotional. There's something about music that moves people more than anything else. And I think Joy's story it's true. It's genderless, it's ageless. It's just this idea that if you have a thought, or if you have the passion or excitement of an idea, to pursue it, as opposed to thinking, oh, that's dumb, oh, that's silly, or that will never happen. And so there's something really special, I think, in tandem with Mean Girls, which was I just sort of tracking my career. I feel really lucky that I got to do something that really spoke to a very specific demographic of young women. And now I'm getting to do something that, I think of like my mother or my grandmother, women of all generations who can see themselves in Joy. And there's something so beautiful in Joy's story and in the musical telling. We have the young daughter, and then we have Joy herself, and you just see a young girl, like a girl of 10 years old, watching her mom in her 30s do the thing that she's been dreaming of for a long time. And I think it just it gives me chills. And I'm like, it's never too late. It's never too late to try.
And I think that's what's so important. Not to share I took 15 years off of performing to do this, to be in a cast. And then at 33 was like, I'm going to acting school. It's never too late. Whatever it is for you.
Yes.
Never too late. Go home, create that mop, or create your version of the Miracle Mop. Everyone has one.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to create the iPhone. You don't have to be you don't have to be winning Tonys. Just like pursue that thing that gives you a little spark inside. And that's so special. And I'm really grateful to get to tell her story. I'm grateful to sort of be the next iteration of Joy's like legacy in the world, if that makes sense. And I'm excited for young women to see this show. I'm excited for people my mom's age to see this show because I just think they will so feel inspired by what Joy did.
Well, I'll be there on December 21st. I have my
Yay!
tickets. You better get your tickets. You can go to joythemusical.com. If you've never been to George Street, that whole town is just an artistic, beautiful community of art. So go. It's perfect for the holidays. It's through December 30th, George Street Playhouse. You just go right off exit 9 on the Turnpike, Jersey. That's how we identify things in New Jersey. It's all, what exit are you?
Right off the Turnpike, baby.
Right off the Turnpike. And you're such a pleasure. I know you inspired my little monsters here today. And we'll be watching and rooting, and we're excited for this show and all the amazing art that you have left to give us. Thank you so much for your time today.
Of course. It was so nice to meet you.
That's the bell rings. How about that? Pretty neat. So cool that my students get to experience stuff like that, and that they were quiet enough and listened enough and behaved enough where I didn't have to threaten them. She's such a light. She's so special, and I'm so excited to see the show next week. Make sure you get your tickets to see the show as quickly as you can, because it's going to be great, and who knows where it's going to go from here. Speaking of great theater, we have some great universities in New Jersey, like Princeton, hoity-toity fancy school. Princeton is a legendary university, one of the oldest Ivy League universities in the entire country, with one of the greatest theater programs at McCarter Theatre, who puts on productions all year round. The people at McCarter have a classic Christmas Carol that has been shown for decades, and it hasn't been able to be on the stages because of COVID for the past few years. So this year they found New Jersey's own native Lauren Keating to direct this production, and it's caused a little buzz because it's got some gender-bending excitement that has been generated. This is the way casting should be, right? Well, just wait. Just wait to hear what she has in store, and this show is playing all the way till the holiday. You need to get your tickets. Check out. Lauren is here. She's telling us all about A Christmas Carol. So if you want to come out, one of the greatest places to see theater and art is at McCarter. It's a fancy theater. McCarter's like Princeton, fancy dancy. Some of the best art and theater of the state in this country comes from there. They have a tradition. That tradition is A Christmas Carol. It's back. It hasn't been on. The COVID of it all has stopped it, but it's back. And one of my favorite things to do is to talk to the creative forces that put all the pieces together. Lauren Keating is here. She's the director, and she joins us on the Roundtable. Welcome.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so honored to be here. You're literally in Tech Week. You are literally working crazy hours, and you're taking your moment to chat with us. So thank you.
The glamour of the dressing room space.
It looks
that good front light,
Well, I listen, I get it. Overhead lighting sometimes, but you must have makeup mirror lighting. You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Just
So,
thrilled to be here.
Lauren, what makes someone grow? Where are you from?
I am from Central Jersey, further west, in a very rural farmland, grew up next to cows and things like that. But McCarter was my closest regional theater, and grew up coming here to see Christmas Carol. So this is a very special homecoming for me.
Did you call it Taylor ham, or did you call it pork roll? Like, what part of Jersey are you?
Pork roll.
Okay. That was very nice talking to you, Lauren. Goodbye. I grew up in Fort Lee, New Jersey. We're Little Bergen County. We're North Jersey. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
We can still be friends.
We can still be friends. Just I'm not taking you to a diner for breakfast because you'll embarrass me with your order.
That's fair. Nor I you. It'll have to be a dinner meeting.
Deal. At what point did you decide I'm a creative, I'm an artist, and I want? And not only are you creative and an artist, but to be the boss lady, or to be the boss, to be the director.
Yeah, I went to a really small K-8 school. So I did arts, played sports, did a lot of things because there was a lot of opportunity. Kind of everybody had to participate or we couldn't do anything. So there was tryouts or auditions, but it wasn't like you weren't going to participate. And I think just through that experience of making something collectively, whether it was a sports team or a show, we did a couple of shows every year that my music teacher wrote, and we all made the sets. And I really loved that experience. And then going on to high school, went to a really wonderful high school here that had a very active theater department. and really loved those theater teachers and had a great relationship with them. And they really fostered this sort of bossiness and vision and just a certain way of seeing the world. And I think I really enjoyed the teamwork aspect, the creativity part. And then I think I felt this yearning to sort of put myself, queer community and people around me that weren't in the picture. And that's been a lot of my work over the last 20 years now. Don't let the lighting fool you.
I am born in 1983, and
Same.
And Lauren, as 40 rears its head.
Here it comes. I was climbing up to the stage today. I was like, oh, the noises. Here.
So the same, Jersey in 83. And but as I was saying, I was joking and saying I was going through a midlife crisis, but it's not a midlife crisis, but yes, I want to make art. I want to make art and things that matter and that move me. And in this time where there's been such a divide of ideas, we have an artistic community, there's a fight for equality and people to be inclusive in the arts community. And looking at the other places you've worked and the shows that you've worked on, I can see that you are somebody who is very innovative and very inclusive of all artists. You create a space that all artists can feel a part of.
Thank you. That is my goal. I think to do no harm. A lot of us in this field have had experiences that have been challenging. So the first thing I try to do in holding space is create a safe space for people and then allow folks to really show up authentically and bring whatever of themselves they want to bring to the process. So that's something that you'll see in this Christmas Carol, but something that I hope is kind of a hallmark across my work.
Well, let's just briefly, the public, Ars Nova, Berkeley, NYU, Tisch graduate, I was ready to give you my monologue and audition for you until I saw that you direct Antigone and Uncle Vanya and Harmony. No.
From the diaphragm, yes.
We're not giving a Hamlet monologue for you here.
Right. Well, I'm sad, but all right.
How much is the pay? No, so How, for the people watching, a lot of students watch and a lot of artists watch that want to break into this business and they want to hear from people like you. Being a director doesn't seem, for me, I'm not a director, so it doesn't seem like there's a very clear path to being a director. It's not like you go on Actors Access and find a breakdown and show up at, Ripley Greer and audition. How does the process start for you to become a director?
I think each director that I know has had their own path, and there are certain established ways of moving through a career, certain fellowships and places you can study and those sorts of things that are obvious. The less obvious part, I think, is developing yourself as an artist and what do you want to say? What are you really interested in? What is your style, both artistically and then in the sort of communication management of people, the leadership side of it. And that is something that I think just comes by making work, which is something everyone finds their own path to. It's not easy, but I definitely took the approach of, we don't have space, we'll make it outside. I don't have a gig this summer, I'll make a gig, and it sort of got me into producing as well, which I also enjoy and have done a lot of now. But I got there through directing, through wanting to make things happen. I think it is challenging, and if you need to financially support yourself, which some people in our business don't, but I have had to work a lot of jobs that are not directing jobs and, still figure out that puzzle and that challenge of how to make it all work. Especially, I've been an institutionally placed person working in an organization and also making work. And then now I'm back freelance again. And it's never simple. It's never an easy thing, even if from the outside it looks like, oh, look at you, you've got it made. And that's just not the financial reality of our industry, or at least that's not been my financial reality, which isn't to discourage anyone getting into it. That's all to say, if you feel like, why is it hard to make my path? I just don't know anyone who has had a simple time.
No, and that's why people say things like, if there's something else you love as much, go do that. But I don't want to discourage people from being artists either. But I also know, and it's one of my mantras, and you just said it, it's that I've always found my own little mini success when I've created my own. I didn't wait for a yes. Like, I don't, no offense to the director and the casting director and the producer, but you don't need them to say you're good enough or successful enough or there's a project for you. You can really create, especially in this day and time where we can be on a phone and be in front of a computer, you can create your own. So
Yes.
I think that's an important lesson, and still go on the audition and still read for Lauren and then book her,
Yes, completely. And it is a long game. It's the marathon of, if you don't love the making of the work itself, the process itself, then I would ask, sit with that and why, because that is the most of it, right? If you're spending most of your time, whatever you're spending the most of your time doing, how do you really embrace that?
For sure. So then you find the McCarter down the block from your house.
Mm-hmm.
He only does A Christmas Carol for decades, and you make a phone call, you show up and knock on the door.
This is what I was just saying, the long game. It's like, decades of relationships. So Sarah Rasmussen is the new artistic director here. I met her probably over a decade ago. The first time I remember meeting her, we were both doing different fellowships at Oregon Shakespeare Festival. But I just sort of known her. We'd known each other over the years. And then I was working at the Guthrie Theatre in Minneapolis about 6 years ago. She arrived to run a theater there called the Jungle Theater, which does really amazing new work and also reimaginings of classic work. And so we started to reconnect. I produced some things that she directed at the Guthrie. And then she said, oh, I think I want to do, would you come? I went and made some things for her at the Jungle. And then I was making Christmas Carol at the Guthrie, and she brought her son to see that. It was his first show. And I was doing a lot of things with that production that we talked about earlier, just including more of our community and really, feminism, simple things. And Sarah really responded to that, and our community really responded to it. It was a great time for me and a great success for the theater. So then about middle of the pandemic, I land back in Central Jersey. Sarah's running McCarter, and we're just, keeping in touch as colleagues. And I came over here just for a meeting to say, how's it going? What a wild time to take over a theater. And, what are you doing back in, and so it came from Sarah saying, you're here. I know that you're great at this. Can that thing that you did for the Guthrie, maybe you can do that thing for us. And we just started talking from there. And then I've gotten to make my own adaptation, which is something I haven't gotten to do before, which has been such a gift. And I know from my work with the education department and other things that I had done at the McCarter over the years, know this staff, which has stayed intact quite a bit throughout the pandemic. And it was such an amazing joy to come back and have those same folks sort of support me in a new way. Like, it's been a real seminal moment, I think, for me.
It is one of the most beautiful spaces to see.
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
It's so gorgeous. And I can only imagine it now at Christmas time with this cast, with this imagining and this tale. Okay, so the elephant in the room. There is I don't know if that's just an expression.
No, I just want to know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Your choices in casting. You have what was the journey to making Scrooge be portrayed by? Now I was a little I have a question. Is the character a female character? Is the actress a female playing Scrooge as a male? And how did this journey kind of become a part of this version of the show?
Sure. I mean, I just always say best actor for the role. And that is identity conscious casting. We're aware of what we're doing to the story when we cast any individual. But really best actor for the role. So I've done a lot of adaptation over the years, and often because of my particular lens, I think people who have been excluded from leading roles previously, I just don't see those things as a barrier. So, and then also I think growing up seeing shows at the McCarter, Emily Mann also has a great legacy of this in her career, where I think it was Blair Brown played in The Tempest. They did Prospera, and Blair played that lead role, and like other things like that I sort of grew up seeing, that it all felt to me like you just want the most powerful person who most aligns with the role in the role. That's the gift to the community. That's what we want to see. So when I started working on this with our casting director, who's also a New Jersey based person, because we wanted to get as many local folks as possible, we just said, like, here's what it is to play Scrooge. To me, it is the biggest, most challenging role in the classical canon. Been saying this in rehearsal, but like when you do King Lear, he doesn't get happy at the end. He's sad and he's angry and he's sad and he's angry.
For 3 hours.
Yeah, something like that. So, but when you're making Christmas Carol, Scrooge has all this, stuff he's working on from, in my view, he's had this very challenging childhood, him in his adulthood, how all of that has affected him. And then you see this journey that he has to go on of healing himself, of facing his past, of working through trauma, of inherited, generational things he has to work through, to arrive at the end of the play and be able to be this joyous, open, just wonderful soul that we feel like drawn to and we feel aligned with, and all of these things. So that is a huge lift for an actor. And I sort of like described those things to the casting director, and also described casting Christmas Carol to me is a particular challenge because all the people need to be nice. Not that most people are nice, but it is an intergenerational company. It is, it's got music, it's got dancing, it's got a lot of stuff. It's like very company held. Quick changes, all the things. So you really need people who want to have that kind of community experience, and who are patient and who are kind and down for that experience. So that is also, you're looking for like a particular kind of human, and then an actor who has all those things. So we saw lots of talented people. But it really felt like, for me, Dee Pelletier, who's playing it. And then we also have a understudy coverage system where an actor named Vilma Silva will be also playing Scrooge 4 performances during our run, 4 planned performances. That those actors just really strongly aligned with what the thing was. And it's more like, to me, it's not why wouldn't we, it's why wouldn't we do it? Like, why would we hold these people back from something that we all would benefit from, for something so silly as our perception of gender, so Dee is a woman. She's playing the role as a man. We use male pronouns. And it's the same. It's the top hat and the nightcap and the jacket and all, like, you can't do Annie without the red dress, it's all those things. And there's other folks, there's other pants roles, other places where women actors are playing either non-binary characters or male characters. And I think it's something we're getting more used to seeing in other forms of classics and in other places. And so my hope is with Christmas Carol that it becomes something that we're more used to seeing in the future. We're not the only ones in the country this year. I know of 2 other productions who are also have also cast female actors in the role. So I wasn't aware really how radical or how that people would have questions about this, but I'm happy to talk about it. And I'm really excited for people to see Dee and see the beautiful work that she's doing. It's stunning.
I have a couple of, if you don't mind me, one moment to just say a few things. Firstly, as an actor, I've worked with many directors who did not give as much thought behind their thoughts as you just did in this interview. So, as an actor, I sat here like, Oh my goodness, I want to have a dramaturgical conversation with you about a role, because your thought process is not always accessible to the actor. Sometimes I've had directors who have been very cold or sparse with their thoughts and ideas, and that was really refreshing to hear you talk about the choices you made. Secondly, we just had a conversation with Crystal and Lloyd, who's starring as John Adams in 1776, talking about flipping, the construct of gender, and how gender is a construct that should not, we are getting to a place where hopefully it's not as seen as a box that we all have to live in. I sure don't, and I know many people don't. So to see that in art is, and to see that here in the state and at that space with a classic piece that is not just created to be a conversation piece, but to just let the best person win the role is really refreshing, Lauren. It's really beautiful.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I do, yeah, I mean, the idea also behind a company held production like this is that actors are generative artists and bring their ideas and themselves to the work. So, you set the tone and the course, but I'm not gatekeeping a process.
The more we talk, the more I'm going to whip out my classical monologue to work with you. So that I don't have one.
Well, we'll get on that.
I maybe I do. I got to think. Going back to acting school now, you're making me like rifle through the folders. But let's not forget that this show is about the holidays. This show is about love, and it's more than just radical casting. It's also it's a show for families. It's a show to come. It's a show to have some. We need the kindness and the love and the remembrance that we're all on a journey. Our emotional life, as Scrooge's emotional life goes on this wild ride, we all are. So what is your goal as a director and as the artistic vision of this production, that when we leave this production on December 18th, 19th, 20th, whenever you go until Christmas Eve, what is your goal when we leave? How do you want us to feel, and what do you want us to take with us?
It's so interesting that you're asking this, because when you do this over multiple years, you give the first day of rehearsal speech and say, like, we really need it this year because these things have happened and we're all hurting in this way, or we're all wanting to be reminded to be the best of ourselves. And you hope that next year you won't need it so much. And just at least over the last few years, it's been like, yeah, we really need it. And the joy this year also in coming back after having been away from it. I was the ideal audience member, like coming into the theater so wowed by the experience, and also for my family, it's been a tradition. And I think the thing for me that's so special about Christmas Carol, and the thing that I hope we're delivering, is the joy of the experience that's not just seeing a theatrical production, but is also, in the lead up to it, getting to talk about it and engage with the materials that the theater's putting out. And then afterwards, I liked how they did that. And I don't know about this, and what an interesting, actor and whatever. And then getting to go, I wonder how that will evolve. And also having that experience as a touch point as a family, like that experience is something that bonds you throughout the year, and that you can, go back to throughout the year, which I think for me has always been true. And I am excited to offer that to folks. And I think something that this production in particular is trying to get at is this idea of inconvenient kindness, that it's one thing to be kind when I feel like it, when I have time, when I already like you, all these things. And it's another thing to be kind and to take a second for someone when I'm in a rush, or I feel stressed, or as so many of us have felt, really challenged over this last period of time. And how do we see each other and really be with each other and find the best in ourselves? And how we create joy through that. So there's a lot of joy in this production. And I think joy and spectacle and that part of the experience is also really key.
Well, you sold me. I'm coming. I will be heading down to see the production. If you're anywhere in the New York, New Jersey area, you need to also come on down. Go see, support local art, support local theaters, support regional theaters, support the McCarter. If you're at Jersey, go to McCarter.org and you can get your tickets. It's playing all the way till Christmas Eve. And everything that Lauren is doing that you want to be a part of and see what she's doing, you can go to lauren-keating.com and find her. Go find her social media, her bio, all of her shows, spam her with emails, whatever you do. And support art, and art that is moving the pendulum in the right direction, and that's what you're doing. And as an artist and as an artistic community, we're so grateful to have people like you that will lead the way and take the chance and make art that matters. So thank you so much for all the work and sacrifice you do to make us all feel seen and heard and validated. It's really like the universe's work here.
Oh, thank you so much. This is such a pleasure to be with you, and I hope that people will come and feel that offering.
I know that I'm going to be there. I'm really looking forward to it, and have a great tech, have a great break lots of legs, and I can't wait to tell you all about it when I go see it. I'm going to send you a 20-page dissertation.
Yeah, we'll have to do like a
I'll meet you at the
show roundtable. Yes.
Done. Post show. I'm ready for the post show roundtable. It's happening. That's a deal. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the art here, right here in the Garden State. Listen, if you're not in the Garden State, what I implore you to do is go and find local art in your neighborhood. I'm sure there's a Christmas carol or a Christmas show or a movie theater or a community theater or someone singing in a corner of a Ramada Inn somewhere that needs some support and some love. Art is what makes us humans. Art is humanity. Art is love. Art is politics. Art is protest. Art is art, and we need to support it. If you were still with me after watching the show, I know you support it. So go out and support some local theater today, especially this time of the year. Everybody, if you like what you saw today, you go to robertbannon.com. Keep up with me. I'll be all about and around in 2023. We have a show every single week. We have a Talks, which is a bonus episode, and then the live show on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. It's called the Roundtable with me. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, the best is always yet to come. Until next time, thank you, everybody. See you real soon. God bless you.